Wait just a second. Before you hit send on that post or that email or say something you'll regret, take a breath. Welcome to Hack Learning. It's what you can do tomorrow. I'm your host, Mark Barnes, and in the open, I asked you to do something pretty simple, right? Take a breath. I bring this up because of some things that have happened recently. We get a lot of our fodder here for the podcast from conversations, whether they be on social media or in person or something that I've read that sparks a strategy that I think we need to use oftentimes in our books at Times 10 Publications, the Hack Learning series, and in other places as well. And we are uncut today. This is episode 140. I appreciate you joining. If you're here, you may be a subscriber. You're likely a subscriber, and you get this in your feed automatically because there's no show notes when we're uncut. Sometimes people share the link to their podcast episode or to hacklearningpodcast.com, where you can find all of our episodes and subscribe, and I hope you will. I said that there were some things that happened recently that got me thinking about this idea of take a breath. And I want to share some of these anecdotes with you, and then I want to share this very simple strategy that you may know about already, but I think we need to be intentional about using it. You know, we often ask kids to take a breath, to pause. We say, hey, count to 10, right? You've done it. I know you have. I did it many times, probably hundreds or thousands of times when I was a teacher, when I saw a kid was angry or frustrated or about to get into a fight or was going to shout something at someone, and I would say, hey, why don't you take a breath and count to 10? Sounds silly, right? They would say, yeah, my parents tell me that all the time. That never works. But we need to be intentional about this. I want to give you a strategy in a minute, but I want to tell you what sparks this particular episode. And it's very personal for me. And I think a lot of times you'll have your own personal story that will make you hopefully think about this episode in the future. I had a conversation with someone and we were disagreeing. Someone says something back to you, and instead of listening to understand, I was maybe listening to reply. And that's something we need to be careful about, especially with kids. So I say something back right away. And you know, it's oftentimes it's sort of that gotcha thing. Afterward, there was a lot of tension. It was an uncomfortable situation. It got me to thinking, boy, I'm really upset that I did that. And ultimately, I resolved it. But I thought, what could I have done differently? And I thought, what if I would have just paused? I'm a big fan of the calm app. And this is what frustrates me, that I reacted as I did, because I'm a big believer in mindfulness and meditation. And I use the calm app, and there's a lot of good articles on there about mindfulness and meditation and being in the moment and pausing and taking a breath to consider what's going on around you. And there's one article I read that said it takes 90 seconds to change an emotion. That's all, 90 seconds. And that's a part of one of their mindfulness strategies in there, and sessions is a 90-second kind of cool down. It's just you do a 90-second meditation, you clear your mind, you take some deep breaths, and then you can change that emotion from there. This is a marvelous strategy to teach kids. And so many people now are doing this in their classroom. And I thought of this with my incident. I thought, what if I were to just have taken that breath? Stop and breathe for 90 seconds. I could have changed my emotion and I could have changed everything. And that's really important. There's a strategy in Hacking School Discipline, 9 ways to create a culture of empathy and responsibility using restorative justice, that I really enjoy. I did a video on this recently, and I just want to share it here because it's perfect for this Take a Breath episode. In Hack 6, in Hacking School Discipline, which is really all about restorative justice and the kinds of things that help kids to understand their situations and help teachers build rapport with kids and get them thinking about their actions. And in here, there's a very simple strategy called PLAN. It's the acronym PLAN, P-L-A-N. And it just means pause, listen, ask, and next. If we could take that breath, and imagine if we could teach kids this, if we could take that breath, we could pause and stop and think about the situation. And we could listen. And in this case, the authors say, listen to your body, listen to your own body language, your actions, your heartbeat, all of these things, and think about what that is doing to your emotions. And then ask yourself, what am I doing and what can I do about it? And then next, what will I do next that can change this behavior, change my emotions? And I think the key in here is that pause, that stop and take a breath piece. It's so important that we do that. And if we as adults do it, and that's why in the beginning I said not to teach kids, but to you. Hey, before you write that angry email and hit send, or that Twitter post or Facebook or whatever it is, and it's angry, it's out of anger, before you're having an argument with another adult, a family member, or a student, and you say something that you don't want to say, that later you'll regret, you could avoid that regret if you just take a breath. Take that moment and think of that strategy from Hacking School Discipline. Plan. Pause, listen, ask, next. Now imagine if we do this in our classrooms. And you could use the acronym PLAN. It's very simple. Or you could just use take a breath. And what if we teach that to kids? And more important, what if you model it? Imagine the time that you have had an interaction with a student or a group of students in your classroom or in your school building, and you reacted in a way that you regretted later. Maybe you even felt you needed to apologize. Maybe people were around or other students were looking at you as if to say, wow, why does she act that way? As an adult especially, we're under the microscope. And it doesn't have to be with kids. It could be colleagues. It could be an administrator. Maybe you're a school leader and you had an interaction with a staff member, and you do something quickly because you have an emotion. You're frustrated, you're angry, you're sad, and you say something quickly, knee-jerk reaction that you regret later. And you think then, what if I could have only taken a breath? What if I could have used plan, employed some sort of mindfulness strategy and focused my body and my emotions and my thinking and paused and then regrouped and then said, okay, I need to do something different. And if you do that and kids see it, what you're doing is you're modeling empathy. You're saying, I need to pause and think about what I'm doing because I may be reacting in a way to someone else that doesn't show empathy. It doesn't show them that I'm listening or that I understand. When we pause and we listen and we ask, what are we doing? How does this other person feel? Everything is different. So maybe next time you can use the plan strategy from Hacking School Discipline. There's so much more in other books from Times 10 Publications about mindfulness, teaching kids to take a moment, to think, to be in the moment. That not only helps with emotions and empathy, but it also helps them focus. And in the long run, they perform better. It can make them better students. It can make them better people. And you know what? If you take a breath, it can make you a better teacher and a better person. And isn't that a wonderful thing? Hey, thank you so much for listening. I hope you'll check us out at hacklearningpodcast.com and give us a read at the new times10library.com. I hope you'll check that out. You'll find all the Hack Learning series and every book from Times 10 Publications. You've been listening to the Hack Learning Podcast. I'm Mark Barnes. And again, please get over to times10library.com and check out all our books. And I hope you'll listen again next time.